Here's my take on this. I guess we're doing a react video now, but like it's all perspective, right? I full disclosure, I do guides with skill capped, so like I don't know about this pro guides video, for example. I have reacted to pro guides videos in the past, and sometimes their tips are a little laughable. But just in terms of like these guide channels, you're only gonna get out of them what you put in, right? So if they give you 5 tips to climb to Immortal, all tips aren't necessarily like hard fact or like this is going to work 100% of the time. A lot of things are very relative within the game, right? So the tip that he's looking at right now, one-tricking agents you're best at, that's something I would recommend personally. I think that playing your agent that you are best at is the best way to do this. This is how we did it in League anyway. Maybe it changes from Valorant to League. I'm a decently high-ranked player, and I haven't really noticed any sort of benefit from filling to agents that I'm not comfortable with. I see a lot of people play controller when they just don't know how to play controller, and then they like fill in controller. Yeah, don't get me wrong. If you're a great every single agent, if you're great as Cypher, if you're great as controller, like Brimstone, if you're great as like Reyna and stuff, feel free to fill. But for the most part, I just find that like it's best to focus your attention on one agent and just be really good at that agent and just carry with that agent.
You're more comfortable taking the lead or opening up early kills for your team. The duels is a great thing. Maybe you like lurking and holding outside the snake. Then assemble can be a great thing as well. Lastly, those of you who are looking for more of a mixed bag, any of the controller and initiative agents are very good.
Oh, it reminds you because I'm watching 2x speed. Is that why it reminds you of the day before exams? Sorry, I watch videos on 2x speed, so this is something that's hard for you to keep up with. I'm just trying to get his general points out just so I can like respond to him. So what he's saying right now is that what the pro guide says is that you shouldn't auto lock, or that you should auto lock agents that you are comfortable with. What he is saying is that you shouldn't auto lock agents that you're comfortable with, and he's gonna say why not. Now, the reason that you should auto-lock agents, according to the pro guys, because you should feel more comfortable on the character that you're playing. I think auto-locking is an aggressive term. I think maybe like having a couple people that you can play, but like for the most part, especially at lower ranks, I found that team comp doesn't really make that big of a difference. It's going to make a bigger difference as you climb in the ranks. In lower ranks, as long as you got smokes, it feels like you're pretty solid.
From going into the site, block off angles, all that good stuff, right? So if you don't have smokes and you want to win, you always want to know how to go smoke just in case.
I think another thing that's helpful is understanding other people's agents, so that like when you play with somebody who doesn't know how to play like a Cypher or a Killjoy, you can kind of help them out. There's been a lot of games where I queue into a game with like a Cypher who like you can, if you play Cypher and you watch a Cypher who doesn't know what he's doing, you can tell very quickly. And it's like it's nice being able to help out a player like that, so you can help out, so you can like improve your defense a little bit more. That being said, I don't feel like Sentinel is something that's 100% necessary. Somebody else said it in the chat. I think that I agree with both sides of this. I think that you probably need smokes on your team. Other than that, though, I've locked 5 duelists before in 1 games. It doesn't seem like there's very much correlation, especially in lower ranks. It just seems like sometimes your team is just a better team than the enemy team. That's how the matchmaking normally functions for me. Now, maybe this will help you win more games having the optimal team comp, but you're not playing in Radiant lobbies. People aren't doing the correct decisions anyway. They're not peeking angles appropriately. They're hardly even using their utility correctly. So to ask for smokes a lot of the times, it's almost not even worth it.
If your teammate goes to win, you're gonna have to learn more characters and force yourself to be comfortable with them, so that your team has a high chance of winning. You can't just play for yourself. And he also mentioned that okay, you should have backup options just in case your character gets locked, but you should instead focus on A, what my team needs, and B, what I'm most comfortable on. So if your team needs smokes, go smokes. If your team needs sentinel, go sentinel. I
will say something that insta-locking does that will negatively affect you, and not even team comp wise. Like I said before, I don't even think that your team comp matters all that much, but it's going to affect your teammates' mentality on the game. Like already you're kind of tilting some of your teammates like straight off the bat. And just insta-locking a character, like just for the purpose of like, oh, well, I play Jet, so I'm playing Jet. And locking in Jet is going to like piss off another player who might be a Jet player who's just trying to be respectful of what you wanted. They're already going to be irritated with you. So I think that's something that definitely weighs against you.
Talked about why insta-locking is definitely not an insane threat to climb.
So I don't know. He's gonna give his take. I'm gonna give my take before he does, just so like, just so there's a little bit of contrast. I'm interested to hear what he has to say. But in terms of the Ferrari peaking thing, this is what I was talking about. How not all tips are always like relevant, right? So in Ferrari peaking, like in terms of like a 1v1, can really catch people off guard. Like if there's one dude on the other side of the wall, just swinging in around the corner, like just doing a wide swing, can really catch them off guard. However, if there's 5 people behind the wall and you Ferrari peek them, you're gonna get annihilated. Like it's just there's times and places for it, and I think that's something that's left out of this guide because it's a 10-minute video. He's doing a top 10 list, and I think that it's very easy to like just take one of these guides and just piece them apart and be like, actually, this situation is when it's bad. But in reality, it's like, yeah, it's a 10-minute guide, dude. Like these are concepts that he could go more in depth on, and maybe he should. But like, yeah, it's not always the best decision to Ferrari peek, obviously. But there are times and places for it where it is beneficial.
Called a narrow peek, like I said, just peeking farther back from the wall and peeking like to the point where you could go back to cover if you whiff. Like let's say there's a guy sitting again. Instead of wide peeking, what I can do is I can peek narrowly like this, take a couple shots, and then fall back. Because by taking a couple shots and peeking out of the middle, I can just fall
I think a lot of it too is like when people are smurfing and stuff, like that's what they see, you know. So when they're playing against lower ranked players, they literally do Ferrari peek everything. They just run around like aim dueling people because they know they can. They know that they're better than these players. So like, yeah, if your aim is just better than a player, sometimes just full swinging them is the move. But like, realistically speaking, I'm not even that good of an aimer, and like very rarely am I just running around full swinging everybody. No, definitely a very aggressive move. But there's times and places for it. Like there's times where you just want to full swing somebody. Like another thing that like if you're gonna flash an angle, you don't want to close peek it, because like if you flash something and then you close peek it, you're gonna get annihilated. Whereas like if you flash it and then you wide swing, that's generally what you're gonna want to do. But you don't want to wide swing into a team of like 5 people. This is what I'm saying. Like things are very relative. There are times when Ferrari peeking is good, and there's times where it's bad. Like jump peeking is a massive thing at higher ranks too. Just like jump peeking or like playing for info, it's like it is a massive thing, and he's acknowledging that too. I don't know what their tactic for jump peeking that they show in bro guides is for this, but I will say in iron and like through like so to tell them like in iron like don't even worry about jump peeking, like that's a fair statement, because it's like it's not as necessary in lower ranks because they just kind of give you the info for free. You don't even need to jump peek. A lot of the times people are just full sprinting around, like you're already getting the info. To jump peek, it just feels like sometimes people are like, oh, I heard this mechanic on like pro guides or skill capped or game leap, and like we're just gonna do it, and it's like they don't know when to apply it. But like yeah, jump peeking is like an okay thing to do, and maybe practicing it every now and then will be like helpful for you. I've started jump peeking a lot more just as I've been climbing, and it is a great way to get info.
Okay, so I'm gonna just go into real quick and show you some alternatives you can do, because if there's an offer posted up, it's a really easy shot to hit, especially if you're like iron. Like
what did he say?
Dragging your mouse movement in a 180-degree motion to essentially jump in a half circle motion. You can do this on both the offensive and defensive side.
Jump peeking, I don't think it's like crazy complicated, but looking at the ground. Well, the thing is, when you jump peek and you look at the ground, like they should appear. Like I think this is what he's referring to. Like they should appear on the map. But, like it works out okay, because like if you jump peek and then like you get info, then it'll like normally like show them on the map. Generally, what I do is I hold S when I do this, right? So you like jump in, and then like when you hold S, it'll like pull you away, and then you don't even need to. You don't even need to like whatever the fuck he's doing right here. He's like jumping around like this.
Why I say do this is because this whole motion right here, like this whole motion is it's not.
If you saw
if
they saw your shoulder, you can see them on the minimap. Didn't know that. Is it actually true? Oh, you learn something new every day. I guess I could test it. Hold on. Somebody load into game with me. So like you have to be careful if they're opping it, because like obviously they can catch you off, especially if they think that you're gonna jiggle it. Or like a tactic thing, but like yeah, if you're gonna like jump peek and you're gonna try to see it. Yeah, see? You jump peek it like really quickly. It's like hard for them to do it. Bappo's an immortal player. It's like he knows I'm gonna jump peek it. Yeah, so like when I'm jump peeking, I'm kind of just looking to catch if anybody's like pushing up, right? Because if they're pushing up or if they're on the right side, I'm gonna get that info. But like if I'm trying to jump peek like the left side where that guy was playing, yeah, I'm gonna get fucking killed. You're definitely not gonna get the info doing this, I don't think. I mean, you can still do it. You can still do it like this. It just doesn't feel optimal to me. I think the jump peek is a lot better in this situation. Another problem that people do with this, so they hear that jump peeking is good and they just keep doing it. After I get the info, don't jump peek it again. Don't fucking peek it again, dude. Because if you know somebody's posted up there with an operator and you're gonna jump peek them again, yeah, you're gonna fucking die, dude. Like, don't do that. But like, yeah, if you're gonna jump peek and you get the info, then get out with it. Like, back up, say, okay, well, I spotted this guy. Take a different position, right? But don't keep jiggle peeking the same angle.
And instead, focus on a more easier technique like this. Like, I'm not saying this tip is like utter dog shit, but I just think that like he's not giving you the most like suited advice considering your skill levels. Because like I said, if you're an Aryan or bronze player, you might mess it up since your movement might not be that good. So you can say,
like, so it seems like his advice is like, hey, this is a difficult thing to do, so probably don't do it in your rank because there's easier ways you can do it. But I don't think that like that's good advice just to like tell somebody like not to try, you know, not to learn it. Because like after you learn it, like it's a decent way to get information. I don't think it's bad. It's gonna take you some practice. You're gonna get killed doing it sometimes, but like it's still a good thing to learn. And just like telling people to like avoid learning just because like, hey, this is a difficult thing to do. I don't think that's necessarily the best advice.
Or losing a round. For those of you who aren't sure how they want to approach a round, a big starting point is communicating how you would like to use your ultimate. You can use it to break open a site, fake a push, stall a post plant, or retake after a bomb is planted. These are 4 of the most common ways and require the least amount of creativity. For example, agents like Phoenix and Raze are great at opening up those situations and letting your teammates follow up afterwards. Ultimates like Brimstone, Sova, Breach, and Killjoy are great at helping your teammates push onto a site. Then you have more unique ultimates like Omen, which can be used to find info on where people are hiding on site, or it can be used to TP behind enemies and pinch them on site. These are just a few suggestions, but don't be afraid to be creative with how you use your ultimate.
I think I disagree with this. I like just like outright. I think that there's a lot of people who don't do this already, and I think that like calling plays around your ultimate, although fairly basic advice, like is incredibly powerful that a lot of people don't do. Just like playing around Killjoy ultimate, or even like smaller ultimates like Omen ultimates. There's a really good strategy that I do on like, don't get me wrong, he's saying that he could elaborate more, which is like he could, but like he's also saying to like play around other abilities, which is like that's not the tip that he's focusing on. He's focusing on ultimates primarily, right? But like for example, like a strategy I like to do on Ascent or Bind or even Haven is one that I do it a lot on. I'm gonna go to Ascend just because like that's one that came to my mind first. Is I like to play around Omen's ultimate on this map, which sounds weird because Omen's ultimate isn't an ability that a lot of players will play around, just because like it's generally not that impactful of an ultimate. It can be pretty good at sometimes, but like something I like to do when I'm playing Omen. So this tactic is usable in a specific situation where the enemy team is playing really aggressive out of A main. It works on B main too, but it's not quite as well. What I like to do is if I've noticed that they're playing really aggro right here, like maybe they're just like peeking this and like trying to take a challenge right here, or maybe they're even pushing up and they're trying to take control of A main. What this is doing is it means that they're going to be weaker on the back of site right now because they're putting aggression right here. It's very likely that what they're going to have is like maybe a player in tree, maybe 2 players right here at most, and then like they probably have like their B player, their mid player, or something like that. That's what you'll normally see. So what you can do with Omen's ultimate, because they are aggressive right here and they're weaker on the backside, is you can literally just ulti into heaven, and off of this play, what you're going to do is your teammates are going to push aggressively towards main, and now you can make a really strong play where if they like flash out main and you're ulting heaven, there's a lot of fucking pressure right here between these players who are probably falling back to site, like trying to get away. You can sometimes use your Omen blind if they're just still challenging main. You're behind them and you have the opportunity to pick off players right here. It can be really strong. This could be a great ultimate for flanking like this, but it only works in the specific situation as if they're playing aggressive on a main, right? So this would be kind of like the asterisk that he seemed like he really like desires in this situation. To play off these ultimates, and this is a little bit more of like an advanced tactic where it requires more thinking, I guess, in this situation where it's like you can't just mindlessly ult A main or A heaven, because if they're playing on backside, a lot of times it could be like a jet or something here. You literally just backs up, cancels the ultimate, nothing happened, right? You get the info that they're heaven, but like aside from that, there's not a lot gained here from this ultimate. Or like a Killjoy ultimate, for example. Hey, I have Killjoy ulti, guys. Let's go play for B. Okay, well, we're gonna push B main and we're gonna try to take B main, you know, and I'm gonna use my ultimate on B main, and then like we're gonna walk into B because my ultimate's gonna go off. And this is like a 2-head strat, because what's gonna happen likely if you're playing against decent players is I'm gonna Killjoy ulti in this corner, and what's gonna happen is we're gonna get smoked off here, we're gonna get mollied, they're gonna throw any sort of shock darts, flashbangs as we're trying to push in. We're just gonna get fucked up because we didn't do anything to prepare for this, right? If they have a Sova ulti, if they have a Brimstone ulti, it's like, oh shit, man, we didn't think about that. But like this is what he was talking about earlier, how he was like, yeah, in lower ranks you should probably not worry about this kind of stuff because it's more complicated like that, and you should probably just worry about like playing in your lower ranks and doing like basic strategies like jiggle peeking like this. This is what he was talking about earlier, but now he's saying, hey, they need to go more in depth on this because it's a lot more complicated than that. And it's like, I don't think you can have it both ways. I don't think that you can't. I think that these are things that you have to focus on, but also at a base level, just playing around your ultimates for an Iron player, telling them to do that, I think that's good advice. Telling an Iron player, hey, you're playing Killjoy, Killjoy's your main, play around your ultimate more. When you get your ultimate up, try to rally your team and say, hey, we're going to use this ultimate for Killjoy, and we're going to try to capitalize on that. Now, what I was saying earlier, like, you can't just walk up in here and ult. Like, that's not going to work very well. What you want to do is you're going to want to grab territory somewhere else, maybe bait out some utility, and then use it, so that way you can capitalize on it a lot easier, because what's going to happen is if you use it, you're just going to get mollied or, like, smoked, and it's just not gonna, it's going to be hard for you to capitalize on it. It's kind of the same mentality where it's like, yeah, complaining, or, like, making these videos and, like, the 5 tips is, like, it's one thing, but it's also like not that difficult to just like complain about shit, you know, like go in. It was a 10-minute video made by pro guides. These channels, like they're literally just made to like put out advice videos like that. I'd like to believe that we put in more effort at skill cap. That's really other people's opinion to say so, but like my take on guides like this is that you're gonna get out of it what you put in, right? They're gonna tell you the things that you need to know. Like you could watch all of their videos, you're gonna hear what you need to know to climb to Immortal. They're gonna tell you it. You've heard it all before. You can only say so much in guides, right? There can only be so many guides created. A lot of people complain, they're like, oh, well, this advice isn't that great. But like in reality, like it's still decent advice. Like it's not bad advice. And like if you follow any of these channels, any of these videos, if you watch Steel's guides, obviously Steel's like a professional player. So I've really been enjoying watching Steel's guides for Valorant. He does like Omen Smoke guides, he does like how to play Haven efficiently and stuff like that. These are really good guides, but like they don't encompass everything because it's a 10-minute video, right? But overall you can only hear so many tips, and over time, like you just gotta learn how to improve like yourself in a way, you know. You have to be able to like think about these things critically and like actually apply the tips, because like, yeah, I could tell you to play around your ultimates and there's always gonna be an asterisk there, but like you gotta figure it out for yourself to an extent, you know. The one that comes to mind, so I don't watch a bunch of pro guides. I shouldn't say that. I don't watch a bunch of pro guides. The Brimstone guide that they did, I thought that one was it had some good tips. It had some good tips, but there was also things like the stim beacon is like the fundamental part of Brimstone's kit, and this was when like stim beacon was like, this is not good. It's still not good. I just thought it was a funny video. Okay, I thought it was a decent beginner's guide, which is what a lot of people are looking for. You have to keep in mind, a majority of the community is like gold and below, right? A majority of the community just like doesn't understand how to play the game at all. And a lot of the times that's what they're looking for. They're just looking for basic tips that they can move on with their life. We are Radiant here though. Everyone in this chat is Radiant. Everyone's a Radiant here.